Guess we're live. This is the first time doing it from my laptop. Where are you, my girl? I'll take my big girl out. This one is my son's snake, Albedo. She's a motley boa. We've got one person in. Oh, hello. We're waiting for a few more people to come in. While we wait, though, I am going to start this clip. I have no idea how to put it on camera. Actually, I do.
And every time I go for a walk to clear my... The Toronto police often enter from stage left, reminding me of why so many police officers in the country break the law.
This is a video from MadLab Press, and he's actually going to go
It never surprises me, though, when I hear of another cop arrested and charged with various offenses. Some of these offenses are so egregious that for the average Joe,
how much money we're actually spending on
I took some well-deserved time off this past week and caught up on some reading and investigative work, and what I'm uncovering is disgusting, to say the least. My question to you is, why are the Toronto police officers constantly being arrested and charged and still getting paid while suspended? And why should we, the taxpayer, fork out millions every year to support these criminals? When will the Toronto police change their hiring practices and conduct more thorough background checks? Are they that hard up to hire just anyone, just to fill a quota? Now let's dive into the world of the Toronto police and see what some of these scumbag cops have been up to lately. We're just going to start off with the Toronto police to begin with. And it's cost us, the taxpayers, just in 2024, $1.3 million.
So I don't know.
But that's not the kicker.
See the screen. I'm pretty
the
sure.
kicker is, in between January of 2013 and April of 2024, 119 cops working for the Toronto Police Service were suspended a total of 130 times. And some of these cops more than once. All were paid their full salary, amounting to a total bill of $31 million that we, the taxpayers, have to foot for these criminal cops. And these cops are sitting at home collecting their full pay while we, the taxpayers, are getting shafted by paying their salaries. It's unbelievable. So here are some stats for you. We have the Toronto Police is the #1 menace at 130 suspensions, costing us, like I said, $31.25 million.
And that's how much.
Second place is the Ontario Provincial Police. Cost the taxpayers over $24 million. Peel Police, Ottawa Police, Hamilton. Look at the money that the taxpayers have to shell out for police officers that are charged, that are basically getting a paid vacation staying home. Look how much money this is costing the taxpayers. It's unbelievable. Now, I added up a total number of money that it costs us, the taxpayers, again, between 2013 and 2024.
$125 million.
So in Ontario, we have a law enforcement complaints agency that used to be called the OIRPD. Now it is called LICA, the Law Enforcement Complaints Agency. And if you go on their website, you'll be surprised at what you can find and how many officers are getting charged daily. So as we scroll down here, you can click on the highlighted green and you can see what these officers have been charged with and what their penalties were. And I highly suggest that everybody goes onto this site and checks out just what police officers are up to and the lack of accountability that is happening to them. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of these officers their charges are getting dismissed, which I find extremely disturbing.
Yeah, that was the clip there. You can find the video on MadLab Press if you want to see the whole thing. But as you just said there, not only is it disturbing how much we're paying out, but 9 out of 10 are actually dismissed and never charged. And we've seen what happened with one of my complaints recently, or many of them, where they declared that it wasn't in the public interest to cause the complaint to be investigated. But now the issue that we're looking at, and I'm going to be calling Leica tomorrow to see what's up, is that they tend to group complaints. So they seem to have grouped a few of my complaints into one. And then when I made the more recent complaints, I tagged that case number into it. So that kind of links them all together. And now with them having closed one of them, just a single one of them, I've been told that it's actually possible that they've closed out everything and don't intend to even look at the other complaints. So we'll call them. We'll see if those complaints are still live. If not, we'll remake them individually and we'll see what's up. But basically what MadLab Press is getting to there is, the system's not great. The complaints, 1 out of 10 is actually investigated. And then once they go on to charges, if we go further into the video here, not only are they paid while they're suspended, but the type of consequences that they get most commonly will be something like, oh, we're going to dock them 2 days pay for this incident. We're going to dock them 4 days pay for that incident. And ultimately they go back to work with, let's say 6 days forfeited pay, but they were on vacation for a month while being paid and just forfeited 6 of those days worth of pay. So it's not a system that's actually, giving them an incentive to behave. Essentially, even if they get caught, not much goes on unless it's the very serious cases. We also had an update with the school board situation. So we're going to talk to them tomorrow as well. But we received a response from CSNO, which was kind of weird. The timing was weird. It was silence from them for a couple of weeks, and then we received a response. And it turns out that it's likely because they were served now with the HRTO application. So they know that it's active. They have to go in. And it's likely the response that they're providing to the HRTO tribunal as well. So they sent us this response. And as usual, it was actually expected. When we spoke to the Human Rights Tribunal, they told us we couldn't move forward till they received the response, and to expect that the response would be a simple denial. And that's precisely what it is. So the word they use is categorically deny any of the allegations I've made, to the point where, obviously they're going to acknowledge that some things happen once we get into mediation and all that. But from the sounds of their letter, they're basically saying none of this ever happened. The situation didn't even happen. We didn't even trespass this guy. None of this happened. We categorically deny that any of this happened, which is what we were expecting from them. So now that should be going to mediation. We should be getting a mediation date soon. The one thing I need to call them to check on is we filed the CSCNO one first. And then when the ADSB engaged in their bad faith and didn't basically just stalled us for a while, good day, Prairie, that's when we added them to it. So just like the lawsuit, we're not filing 2 lawsuits or 2 HRTO applications. It's one, HRTO application, one lawsuit, with both of them listed as co-respondents. So we had to amend that HRTO application to add ADSB, and we haven't received any confirmation of that. So we know that CSCNO has been served. That one's open, it's been sent out, but we don't know if ADSB has been added to it and served yet, because we won't actually be able to process until both of them have responded. And if they delayed a few weeks in serving ADSB, then that adds a few weeks before we can get that mediation date and get going. So these things take a while, but they're getting there. Yeah. I'm going to put Albedo away now. I'm going to take out Phage. I took 2 of them out. I didn't take them out just for you guys. We have to handle them if we don't want them to become savages. And we also have to take a look at them. Phage here is going to be soaking in a bath of water after, because he's shedding right now. Switch. Go. That other one was my son's snake. This one's mine. We have a few of them. These are the 2 bigger ones, though. This guy's Phage. I don't know if we can tell on the camera. Yeah, you can see some shed coming off him right there. So we're going to soak him in a bath of water to help him shed. Where are you going, buddy? I don't know. We're at 5. This video will get posted after, so people can watch it as well. But essentially, at this point, we're looking for recommendations. Don't say yuck. He's a beautiful boy. Say hi. He's like, hello. They are gentle and friendly, but that also comes from getting them young, handling them, and raising them, right? I always say a wild snake's not your friend. If you find a snake outside, leave it alone. It's likely not very gentle. Its instincts will be to be afraid of you and want to bite you. But these guys have no reason to be afraid of us. They're very used to us. And well, they do say they don't bite the hand and feed, but snakes don't work like that. Snakes will definitely bite the hand while the rat is in the hand. So we use thongs. Phage is pretty good. He's got good aim. But we've got one that's a jungle carpet python. Yeah, we use these big long thongs to feed him, and not because he's vicious. He's not trying to bite us. He just has this horrible aim, and it's like they go on their instincts of smell, right? And smell's not exactly. We raise rats too. We have a whole bunch of baby rats, but yeah, he'll like smell the general area, and rather than go for like the mid body of it, he always goes for more where the tail is, the rear end, and that's where you're holding it. So he'll legit like go for your hand while he thinks he's going for the rat. The smaller the rat, the harder too. This guy eats bigger rats, so we can just hand feed him and bring a rat out and he doesn't miss. Then we have this tiny little king rat snake pool. I'll let my son show you the next time we go live. Snake pool eats much smaller rats, so you have to be careful. Except he's like a sniper. He'll come out of his hide, he'll take the rat from you, pull it back into his hide, and you won't have seen anything. It'll just be gone. But yeah, as I was getting to, we're basically looking for suggestions now. So if anyone has suggestions on what we should go audit, where we can go audit, we have a lot of things going on right now, but it takes time. It'll be a while before we have updates, before we can move forward with any of these other things. So now we're just sitting back. Things have been quiet. We do have a few out-of-town trips planned. Like if any of you are on Noka Media, we've been posting about the Every Voice Matters event in Sudbury, which we'll likely be going out there for. What are you doing, buddy? You have a big head. Hi, Kim. His name is Phage. And this one, he's orange, but he's actually a purple albino. So it's albino mixed with some other genes that make him orange. Traditional albinos are actually yellow. Where are you going, buddy? He's pretty heavy too. Like he's just sitting on me right now, and I could feel his big fat body. No, don't tie me up. Let me check my email quick here. And we also received an update. Let me see if I can put this one on screen. From the ministry. So now we are having to call the ombudsman on Monday. Ministry inquiry. Okay, so you guys should be able to see this if I put it on screen. I'm still testing out the live stuff here. Guess he has to use sunscreen. They prefer the dark, but we have nice sunlights on them that are made for them. Hey, where are you going? No, he's like intertwined in the chair right now. I'm gonna have to go fetch him after. He's literally like, he went under my chair and oh, there's your head. Come back up, bud. What are you doing? I've got his head. He'll come back out as I guide him out. But yeah, as you can see the email here, so the ministry actually got back to us, and it's like they stopped at no recording. They're not looking at the full complaint. They're not looking at the violations of the Education Act and at the parental rights violations. They're looking at the no recording. And they've basically decided it's specific to the school board's policy. Right? It's not school board's policy to trespass a parent, to trespass them province-wide, and to stick them with an illegal gag order. That has nothing to do with policy. The policy is no recording. That's what they're talking about. So the ministry, just like many other people, the ones we talked to on the phone were very receptive. They were positive. But once it got sent out to the education officer, they basically said it's outside of our authority and referred us to the ombudsman. Now, we've already made a complaint with the ombudsman by email. Then we made another one using their online portal. They never answered. Then we forwarded this to them, the referral with it, and there's still no answer. So we're going to have to call them on Monday. But apparently, ombudsmen have some power over it. But as you can see, we tell these guys, like, these are violations of the Education Act. How can you not care? And they respond with, I tell them we got to forget about school policy because it's irrelevant. We're not talking about policy. We're talking about Education Act and a parent being charged. And they still respond to the situation specific to school board's policy and should be addressed directly with the school board. The same school board that stuck us with an illegal gag order so that we can't speak to them. So there's no addressing it directly to them. That's why it was escalated to the Ministry of Education. But they're going to claim it's outside of their authority and send us over to the ombudsman. Especially with the orange lettering. So if you're talking about the poster itself, I'm not the one who made it, and that's like Social Rise's color scheme, the blue with the orange writing on it. But I know what you mean. He's still not out of there. He's like half out. Can we see your head? Can we see his head? Yeah, I can get his head all the way here. But his body's still under my chair. He's just chilling. What are you doing? But these guys are actually calmer. We have a bunch of geckos and other stuff that I couldn't do a video alone while I have them. They'd be jumping out and I'd be having to run around trying to catch them so they don't get lost in random things. Okay. What else was on here? That was the ministry one. And we did receive a lot of emails from supporting parents. We do appreciate that. If some of you are in the room, thank you very much. No, I'll just look through the email. I think we've covered pretty much all the updates I had, which is, again, just these people stalling. No one really wants to address it. They want to push it off to later. And at the end of the day, the HRTO tribunal is probably the only ones who are going to address it. It falls right under their purview. It's the parental rights violation. But there's an entire Education Act, and there's these education officers, which are essentially the law enforcement officers who are meant to enforce the Education Act. And these guys, over the phone, they heard it. Over the phone, they understood, okay, these are violations of the Education Act. Yeah, we'll assign this to an officer of education to investigate, to look into it. But once the officer of education got it, it's like what I've been told basically is the level of abuse of office is so like blatantly clear that they basically don't believe it, right? They don't believe that this is how it went down. They don't believe that there's no, like the videos show everything. They don't believe that nothing happened off camera. They don't believe that these people didn't warn me or talk to me ahead of time, which they didn't. They had absolutely no communication with me whatsoever until that day where they denied entry, called the police, and trespassed me. But there was no communication before that. And there was not really any substantial communication between that and their escalation to the province-wide trespass either. It's not like they asked me what happened, talked to me, or even asked me to blur faces or anything. They just went hard. Many people still cling to believe that they have privacy in public with the internet, with videos. Yeah, we talk about that a lot too. So now you've got, they did all this because we were recording a public volleyball game. But look online, all right? And look in bigger cities. You'll have parents, fans, former athletes that'll be out there and they'll all be recording, and it's a normal thing. We'll put on video. But if you look at these athletes specifically, I thought about making a video, but it just wouldn't be good for them. I can go online right now and find pictures of every single one, videos of every single one of these athletes that have been posted online by other people. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a security risk to have their image online because they willingly put it online already everywhere. Then you have the fact that Manitowoc was live streaming the game with the same players, the same team, the same people that are apparently security risk for their image to be captured. It all makes no sense. The league itself live streams these sports. We know that in bigger towns, papers like newspapers, even the CBC and all that will cover a high school sport, especially when there's a high level prospect or a team has hopes of winning championships. This is all absolutely normal. And what this was actually an attack against me. It was parents who don't like me. They made an attack against me, and the school had to react, so they overreacted. But it's gone to a level of insanity. And like I was saying, it's to the point where the abuse of office is so blatantly obvious that they don't believe me when I tell them, right? I tell them the truth. I show them the videos. I'm like, this is what happened. There's nothing. I'm not hiding anything from you. There's no, extra factors. This is actually what happened. And their reaction is always, well, if that really did happen, we got to do something. Something's wrong. But it's always if that really did happen. Because in their minds, it's honestly the same when I make the complaints about the OPP. I was talking to a PSB guy the other day, and they're literally like, well, this does not sound good. This sounds very, very, very bad. It sounds like we should investigate. We should figure out what's going on. But that's only if I believe you. It's only if I take you at your word. Because it sounds so obviously like an abuse of office that we don't believe that anyone would actually do this. And try to explain to those people, well, you're in Northern Ontario where there's not much of a big hiring pool. They'll take whoever is there. And these people tend to have this weird ego problem where they think that their word is the law. They think that what they believe, what they feel is all that really matters. And so you get into these situations where instead of informing themselves, instead of figuring things out, they make decisions for themselves. And now you see something happening in a small town, Chapleau, in Northern Ontario, a population of 2,000, that has never happened anywhere else in any big city. And people are looking at it and saying, well, it can't be true. You have to have done something else. You have to be a security risk of some kind. You can't just have tried to film them because people film them every day. But that is what happened. I tried to film them. They went insane. And now we're here. In a big city, this doesn't happen. You don't see this because no one reacts this way. No, it's not really how that went down. Cell phones are still allowed in the school. They tried to stop me from recording because some parents made complaints, and the whole, what this entire, here, let me see if I could put that on screen quickly. I'll have to find it there. But what this entire, no, it's going to be in French. You guys won't even be able to read it. Their entire justification is that they have students, vulnerable students. Okay, and that literally makes me think of, they called it an extraordinary measure, what they did too. But when they're talking about vulnerable students, they're talking about children who may have fled an abusive relationship with their parent, with a parent type thing, and now they're hiding from the other parent. Basically, people who might be in witness protection. And at that point, it's not our responsibility not to capture the image of these people out in public. It's literally their responsibility. If you're in witness protection, well, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be playing school sports. You shouldn't be traveling around and going from town to town where you're going to be caught on camera absolutely everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, if there really is a vulnerable student, why is that student going out to the gym during the public event instead of staying in the classroom with the teacher? You know what I mean? So they're playing this game where they're like, well, we need to protect certain vulnerable students. But the protection emphasis is on you. FIPA and HIPAA are all the same everywhere. You are the caretaker of that information, and it's your job to protect it. It's not the public's job to close their eyes when they're in public to make sure they don't see a vulnerable child. You know, it's just not how it works. And now we're waiting for mediation so that we can get in front of the tribunal and actually talk to someone. Because literally, like I said, this response that we received from the lawyers, it goes back to the same thing. They're all saying like, no, this didn't happen. But yes, it did. I documented it. I made it very public, and I could prove it to you that this is what happened. So we just need to get in front of someone that has the power to make a decision, because everyone wants to say it's outside of their authority. And like I keep saying, there's this big factor of it's such a blatant abuse of office that they have a hard time believing me when I tell them about it. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Prairie. Exactly. Like, it's not like anyone's hidden. You know, if you're talking about an abusive relationship and they've moved, they literally will have informed that person of, okay, this person's moved to Chapleau. You're not to go anywhere near them. It's not like it'll be a secret witness protection thing. So the entire child safety thing doesn't ring true. And then one of the things ADSB added on theirs was I'm trying to get the exact wording they used, but they essentially are describing me as a detriment, not a detriment to the well-being necessarily, but a detriment to the learning environment of the students. That my presence, my aura is so powerful that when I walk into the school, nobody can focus anymore. Nobody can do their schoolwork. Even if they're in their classroom and I walked into the gym for the volleyball game, they felt me. And I'm disruptive to their performance. And therefore, I must be banned from all school properties. It's I laughed at the fact that they called it by themselves an extraordinary measure. So you believe justified in enacting an extraordinary measure that you wouldn't even do if a parent had become violent. A parent could have freaked out, been pissed off at that principle, and they would have never ever went with extraordinary measure of this kind. But a camera, yeah, okay. Now we go all out. This guy's a terrorist. And that's essentially how they're treating it. The words they're using, the description they're using, they have not said the words "he's a terrorist," but they're implying that we create an atmosphere of terror. You know, like it's very close to the same. And he's going towards you guys. He's got a big tongue. You can see all this shit now. This is why he needs to go in the bathtub. He's just gonna go in a container with water, soak in there for a while. Then when he comes out, all this stuff will peel off on its own. There you go. All right, that was it for the updates. Again, that video clip we watched at the beginning is from MadLab Press. He's got a new one out too that's worth watching. Hey, you know what's funny? Do you know Nick? Me and Nick have fought. You know that I'm a crew and he's also in that world for a long time. Me and Nick actually had to, what was it, Nick? Did we have to fight 3 times? Yeah, I think it was 3. No, it was 2, and then Pat said no to the 3rd. So basically we fought at what is an in-house. And so it's not like judged. It's basically we were part of the same team, even though we weren't part of the same town. And it's weird because when we do these hometown things, it's like I was in his hometown and I'm a coach from my town. So my intention was never actually to win. I was putting on a show. It's kind of a thing we do. There's no winner or loser. They're not sanctioned. But I went out there, I fought Nick. I was in pretty bad shape too. It was in instructor shape, we call it. And I had horrible performance on my part. And somehow the judges like still raised my hand. They still called me a winner. I was like, what the hell? That's not good. So then we did a rematch, and that time I trained much harder. And then that was a close one. It was a really good one. Then we were thinking about doing a third one, but they said, no, we're going to leave it at 2. I think at that point it was basically 1-1 each, and we're just going to leave it there. No third tiebreaker. Yes, I agree. MadLab does do good work. I'm trying to read up on the conversations there. All right, and with that, we'll be saying goodbye. I'm going to get this guy in some water. I'll bet it was just chilling in the bin too, so I'll put it back in our habitat. And as I said, anyone who's watching this, leave comments in the comments of ideas of where we could go audit. We are planning out-of-town stuff, and out-of-town has plenty stuff that we can go audit. But even locally in other organizations, like one I'm planning is the CRA. The CRA is definitely needs to be audited, and we definitely need to look at what's going on and raise some awareness. The issue is that there's no local offices. There's nothing for me to get on video from here. It's all going to be done remotely. Hit up Nico. I have his email if you need. Yeah, sure. Send me his email. I have him on Facebook too. I do see him posting videos quite in a while. I'll send him a shout. I haven't talked to him in a while. We'll see what he's been up to. Hey, what are you doing? Political Orphans Tonight. I don't know what that is, but I will check it out. I don't have much to do tonight, so I'll take a look at it. And thanks for the invite. I'm actually going to have to type it somewhere, otherwise I'll forget. Because I don't think that this chat screen makes it into the comments. I can't go back and look at the chat after, or at least I haven't figured it out. Political Orphans Tonight. All right. I got that down, and I will check it out. Thank you very much, everyone. Oh, that's one of his channels. Yeah, it's like I have him as Facebook friend. I've had him on Facebook friend for probably 15, 20 years now. No, not 20, 15. But other than that, I haven't followed and subscribed his other channels. I just see his videos that pop up on Facebook. Hi, butter. But yes, thank you very much. I'll give him a shout, and we'll see you guys later. We're planning another live later this week after I made some phone calls and got some updates for you guys. And we'll show you some of our other snakes. Have a good day, guys.